You love full throttle. You assume if I show up for people, we're building the same kind of bond. But some family systems are built more on taking than on matching effort. She's standing reading the wedding program and her hands are shaking. Her husband's brother, he's about to get married, and so she's just reading the wedding party names, scanning the list, smiling at the familiar names, her husband, her nieces, and then her eyes hit the bio. Steph, Ben's only sister. She blinks. She reads it again. The bride is so excited to build a great relationship with Steph, and suddenly it hits her. Her name is nowhere to be found in this program, neither are her 3 children. After more than a decade of housing her 2 brother-in-laws, feeding them, helping raise them, caring for them as if they're her own, and now she's taking care of their dad in her basement, and yet in their story, she's not even a sister? She's not even in this picture at all. Has been married for over 30 years to her husband, and his younger brothers, they're much younger, for the longest time, they would not leave the nest. So about 10 years ago, Dana's husband went to his brothers and was like, it's time to move out. Like, let mom and dad have some quiet years together. The brothers then asked, well, can we move into your basement then? And Dana and her husband, they had just bought a home and they were planning on renting out the basement for extra income, but instead at a reduced rate, the brothers moved in just for a couple years, but ended up staying for over a decade. During that time, Dana was home full time with their kids. So she cooked, answered medical questions, helped the brothers just through life, dating, all of that. She treated them like family. And sometimes she said, I really felt like I was raising 2 extra sons. Fast forward, Dana's mother-in-law passes away later. Her father-in-law's health goes downhill and he can no longer live alone. Dana, being a nurse, suggests, hey, why doesn't your dad move into the basement apartment and then the 2 brothers go move into dad's house down the road? Now, dad needs 24-hour care. There are 4 siblings, 2 of them are married, but since dad lives in Dana's home, her and her husband, they carry most of the load. She and one sister-in-law, they cover days because they're both nurses, and then brothers, they take the night shift. But the youngest, who just got engaged, just dropped a bombshell on them and said, hey, my fiance said I can no longer do the night shifts once they're married, which obviously throws the whole care schedule into chaos. And still, Dana has tried to be so kind to the fiance and then welcome the fiance's kids into the family. Her own daughter taught her children how to swim. She's the one who threw the engagement party, like the dinner. She helped address all the invitations. But then at a family meeting discussing dad's care, she finds something out that knocks the wind out of her. Everyone is included in the wedding except for her and their 3 children. Her brother-in-law, Steph's husband, has been in the family for 16 years. He's standing up there. So he's been in the family for half the time as Dana. Nieces are in the wedding, but the kids, her kids that grew up with these uncles in the basement, they're not included. And no one, not one person, when this was all happening, filling out the program, thought, hey, this might sting a little bit. Nope, they were just left out. Her husband confronts his brother. He's like, hey, this isn't cool. But his brother doesn't see the problem. The fiance doesn't see the problem. Nobody reaches out and says, hey, sorry, like this was definitely an oversight. We didn't think this through. Weeks go by, no real conversation. Then on Dana's birthday, both the brother and the fiance send casual texts about brunch, like nothing's even wrong. And Dana's like, I don't want small talk. I want a real grown-up conversation. But they don't. She doesn't even want to go to the wedding. But she's in charge of taking care of dad because everyone else is in the wedding party, so she feels stuck. She's devastated. She feels like, I poured everything. I poured my time. I poured my money. I poured love into a family that they were sure as heck happy to receive, but they've never really saw me as part of the core. So now she's asking, how do I go on knowing that I can't unsee this? First of all, Dana, of course this hurts. Of course you feel gutted. My God, you opened your home to them. You raised them like your own. You're caring for their father, and you thought you were building something deep and mutual. If this were my family, I would see this as a moment where my eyes are now wide open. Like, I finally get to see how this system really works. You love full throttle. You assume if I show up for people, we're building the same kind of bond. But some family systems are built more on taking than on matching effort. They're used to you being the steady one. They enjoy the comfort of everything you give without stopping to ask, what does this cost you? Or what do you maybe need at some point? This means now you have more information. So for me personally, I would allow myself to pull back and see this all in a new way. If they see me as optional, then I'm allowed to treat my time and energy as optional too. Practically, what this could look like is from now on, I'm only interacting as much as I need to make sure my father-in-law is cared for with dignity. And I would start saying no to things that keep me in that helper role, things like medical advice, party planning, help with kids. Unless you really have the bandwidth, I would say no. I would let invitations sit unless it really lines up with my peace and I'm going because I want to and it's not just to keep the peace with them. I don't see this as punishing my family. I see this as me protecting my energy, and I'm not going to continue to pour and pour and pour into somebody that never pours back. Over time, your boundary might sound like, I always show up to make sure dad is well taken care of, but beyond that, I'm going to be more thoughtful about what I say yes to. Like, I get to protect my heart and time. You can't make them see your sacrifice the way you see it, but you can decide from here on out that your love comes with limits because you finally understand the difference between people who share the load and people who are just really comfortable being carried.